Hello, everyone. Namaste, greetings of the day, and welcome to ECDF's another webinar. My name is Amrit Nagpal, and I'm going to be chairing the session today. Before we begin, let me first thank Dr. Basavi and the entire team of Early Child Development Forum for helping us host this webinar today. We've got Dr. Basavi, who's the chairperson of ECDF, DN Acharya Foundation, and of Tender Petals too. Thank you so much for allowing us to talk on a very interesting topic. Now, coming back to the topic, it's a very interesting topic today because this topic has hardly been touched upon. We're going to be talking about what our national education policy very proudly integrates into the new education policy for our country. We're going to be talking on art integration, supporting drama and imaginative play in early years. Interesting, right? So all the educators and parents who've been looking forward for this session, we welcome you. And without any further ado, let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists. First, on our panel, we have got Gina Bale. She's from UK. So Gina, if you could wave a hi for our audience. Great. You can look at all the excitement that she comes with and the energy that she's coming with. Gina is the creator and the owner of Magic Train and, the Little Magic Train. And she's a qualified in teaching movements and dance from Royal Ballet School, Trinity College, and Royal Academy of Dance. We welcome you today and we're looking forward for all the suggestions that you're going to be giving us. Next on our panel is Sonia Bharadwaj. Sonia Bharadwaj has over 15 years of experience as a teacher, trainer, franchisee owner, and she has been in the last 15 years doing a lot of training and training teachers on drama. And she has been associated with Helen O'Grady Drama Academy. She's also been developing language and creative expression program from children ranging from 3 years of age all the way till up till 9 and 10 years of age. We welcome you, Sonia. If you could wave a hi for our audience, would be great. Oh goodness, they're full of energy today. So I'm sure we're going to be exploring and diving deep into a lot of topics. That's going to be exciting for everyone. Next on our panel is Ms. Priyanka Chatterjee. Ms. Priyanka Chatterjee is an international storytelling consultant. She's also an award-winning consultant and an MBA with a gold medalist. She's also the director of SIAC, that is Storytelling, Education and Arts India Council. And she's also the founder of Wild Strawberry. We welcome our esteemed panelists today. And I can't wait to dive deep into today's topic because I think this is one of the most unrated topic in our industry and nobody wants to talk about it, but it holds so much of importance. The National Education Policy that released in 2020 definitely talks about it. And along with that, I think most educators like Mario Montessori, Froebel, definitely talk a lot on creative expression, creative arts, and the importance of play being an absolute necessity for young children so that their brains and their minds develop. So here we are. I will post the first question for today's session, and the first question is going to be asked to all the speakers. Each one of you are going to get 5 minutes to talk, and then we'll proceed to round 2. So my first question is, if our speakers, my first question would be to Gina, if you could help us understand the difference between drama, creative arts, performing arts, dramatic play, imaginative play, are they same? Are they different? Or do they have different forms? What is your thought on it? Gina, over to you. Gina, you're mute. Please unmute yourself.
Mute. Sorry, I'm not great at technology, so I do apologize in advance. So thank you for the question. So what is dramatic play and imaginative play? And you're asking, do they have different forms? So I was thinking about this, and I've looked up the definition of dramatic play and imaginative play, because for me, they are one and the same. So the definition of dramatic play, I've been finding on UK websites and the EYFS, it says dramatic play is a form of symbolic play where a child pretends to take on the role of someone else, imitating their actions, their speech, and also of things that are happening. So when you go to the doctor, when you go to the dentist, but then when another child is involved, that becomes socio-dramatic play, and the elements of reality and make-believe are involved. And this is where I feel the lines are blurring, because they can no longer do the real role play. They have to have the imagination. So this is where I feel that the same thing, because the definition of imaginative play, when children are role playing and acting out various experiences they've had or something that's of interest to them, they're experimenting with decision making, they're practicing their social skills. So for me, the boundaries are really blurred of when it goes from dramatic play to imaginative play. But I personally think they are one and the same thing. And I know in the UK, there is that issue with early years practitioners getting, we have the new EYFS, so we have imaginative and play is now in the curriculum to help them with executive function. So for me, I think it's the same thing. But as my work is based around imaginative movement based, I don't know if the esteemed colleagues will disagree with me, but I think it's the same thing, because all early years children are kinesthetic learners, and they learn from, in a multisensory, they're learning from their experience, they're tasting it, they're touching, they're feeling it, they're watching, and all your behavior, your modeling, they are copying. So for me, it is the same thing. Shall I hand that one over to see if anyone else disagrees with me? But I might be opening a can of worms. I think it's the same. What do you think?
Thank you, Gina. I think you put your thoughts wonderfully across. Now let's ask Sonia. Sonia, are they the same or they are different? What is your thought on this question?
I just want to say thank you to Gina, because she got the correct definition of so she helped me with my research on that. I would say they are, again, a very, very fine line, because when you're working with children, without going into the technicalities of what is dramatic play and what is imaginative play, we come from a space where I was with Helen O'Grady. Creative drama was what it was. So creativity is imagination, and dramatics is the drama part of it. So it is an integration of both dramatic play as well as imaginative play. So you need all of it, and especially movement. When she said movement, music, dance, all of that makes it a complete, complete product. You cannot isolate one from the other, because one cannot exist without the other. For example, if I'm saying drama, and especially when you're working with children, speech and drama goes in hand. You cannot remove speech and drama. So if you were to ask me, is it different or is it the same? In a dramatic play, you would incorporate speech, you would incorporate movement, you would incorporate imagination, and a lot of dramatization of something, so that the children whom we are trying to communicate with, they absorb this well and are able to reciprocate, understand, and get the concept right. If you were to do it in a very boring manner, then they would not make it interesting for them. If you get an apple into the class and you make it, oh, this is an apple, please eat it, they're like going to say, what is this? But when you make a whole drama around it, and you know what, I'm going to get this really amazing thing, and you dig into a bag and you take out this delicious red apple, and even if the child doesn't like it, at the end of that class, he's going to go home and say, Mom, please buy me apples because I love apples, right? That's what it's all about. And Amrit, when you said that we want to develop their minds and their heads, I think one thing that we also need to develop through creative drama or through dramatization is their heart. It's a very integral part of education, which is missing in our schools, because it's only intellect. It's only intellect and how you speak, but it's not coming from the heart. And that is what, through drama, when we do this visualization or dramatization, we give them a chance to understand the other person's point of view, understand how other people will talk about it. So when she was talking about dramatization, and an individual child will understand the perspective of how the other person is going to be, and I'm going to talk about it later. So they will try to understand different perspectives of the same situation, which also helps them to think beyond, one way. It gives them an idea and gives them a thought to think out of the box. So this is what it's all about. And that is how dramatization or imaginative play will come in. It will help them to integrate different aspects of a particular situation, which is very, very important. I'm really happy that the government has decided to include this into and make it important, and not just keep it on the sideline, and make it something which is some kids are going to be using, hopefully from the time they are in kindergarten right up to grade 8, 9, and 10, which is again, a requirement, because different age groups require this. And according to that age, they will be able to pick up what is important and understand, not only with their mind and their thoughts, but also with their heart. So if there's something else that anybody would like to add.
Thank you, Sonia. I think you very wonderfully put across. What I really liked was the way you said, how you integrated. It's a very thin line difference, and how each form, whether it's a drama, speech, creative drama, and all are so important. And we shouldn't deal with them in isolation, rather integrate them and speak about it. I also like the point that you put across, that yes, we're looking at brain development, but also what's important is let's look at the development of the heart and the emotions. And that's where social emotional intelligence is very important to develop in young children. So thank you so much for your valuable thoughts. I think some wonderful takeaways by Sonia. We'll move on to Priyanka. Priyanka, what is your thought on the same subject? And do you think they're same or they're different? Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Amrit, for that very intriguing question. And Gina and Sonia already spoke about it. But still, I would like to talk about what you also initially included in your question. You spoke about creative arts as well as expressive arts. So when we speak about creative arts, it includes the different formats of arts that exist. So when we talk about Natya Shastra, which is the oldest documentation on drama that we all Indians should be very proud of, because it came out from India by Bharat. And Bharat is not one person, rather Bharat is a collective wisdom that we speak about. There is not only one author, but it's written by many. And Natya Shastra speaks about drama, which includes music, which includes dance, which includes storytelling, and which includes miming, and many other different forms of performing arts. So when we look at arts, it can initially be divided into two, the form of performing arts as well as visual arts. Now, Natya Shastra only includes that of the performing arts. Now, as Gina and Sonia were mentioning, that the thin red line is really so thin. Sometimes when we speak about dramaturges, they include storytelling as a part of drama. When we speak about storytellers, they include drama as part of storytelling. So somewhere this line, we keep crossing these lines all over. But when we primarily speak about creative arts, it includes all these forms as a modality. Whereas when we speak about expressive arts, it speaks about So all these are expressive arts because we are expressing ourselves through these art forms. And expressive arts includes one particular type of arts at a time. So that's the basic difference between creative arts and expressive arts. So when I'm talking about expressive arts, I will only deal with storytelling when I'm talking about expressive arts storytelling as a modality. When I'm dealing with drama, then I will deal with drama as a modality, dealing with expressive arts. But at creative arts, I can combine all of them together and come up with something new. And finally, what we already spoke about is the imaginative play as well as the dramatic play. As they rightly pointed out, we imagine, we involve our creativity, and somewhere the children learn to think, they learn to negotiate, they are involved into this decision making. All that is so true. And sometimes we are not only enacting, we are not only doing role play, because one of the common things that I listen from the corporates and I listen from schools, organizations, that okay, drama, we do role plays in all our trainings, and we have role play in all our classrooms. It's okay, we don't need any extra training. But my question, what I would like to end with is drama really about only role play? Or is there something beyond that? Moment we start thinking about this question, I think this perspective of imaginative play and dramatic play will also have a new take at that. Because drama is not only about enacting, drama is not only about role play, it's a lot beyond that, which we are trying to explore as educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Lovely location behind you. I think it's so soothing to see you like this in, amidst of greenery and nature. But I would really like to advocate at the end what Ms. Priyanka left us with, an amazing thought over here, that is drama so limited in our schools as educators that we are so limited to that box of drama, saying that, it's only about role play. And I think as educators and edu leaders, it is important for us to think that how can we explore this stream of creative arts? And I really like the way most of y'all have put it across, that, it's a very thin line difference, but they all come under the broad category of creative arts, whether you're performing it, whether it's storytelling. So let's dive deep into it. Let's explore further and understand from our experts how to help our children deal with or support them with drama and imaginative play in the early years, because it's something that we do not talk about a lot in our schools, that we should be doing in our preschool sectors, in our pre-primary classes, because play is the highest form of expression. And that Maria Montessori tells us, Robel has been telling us. So it's not just about giving that 5 minute in the dramatic corner, you allow them to play freely. It has to be done consistently in our classes. So let's move to the next round with the next set of questions that we're going to be having for all of us. So my first question is going to be to Sonia. Sonia, you know that most educators and parents, like we've been talking about role playing, and Priyanka very well mentioned about it. So let's dive a little deep on role playing. So could you help us with ideas or areas what teachers and parents could do either at home or either at school? And how could we support role playing areas, or how could we develop the role playing areas? What kind of interactions can we have with children while they are role playing? First of all, can we interact with them, or we shouldn't interact with them while they're in their role playing corners, or in their own dramatic corners or imaginative corners? What is your thought on it, and what ideas could you give our parents and teachers over here? Parents, because we're still under a lockdown in India and preschools are still shut. So if you could give some ideas to parents what they could do at home, so that they could implement the same thing with their children at home. So over to you, Sonia.
Thank you so much for that. I think you've set the whole ball rolling for role play, which is a topic which I'm going to talk about. And while we do role play in schools, I think role play is a part of everybody's life. And children do the role play from the time they are very, very little. Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time to talk about children, especially children between the age of 0 to 7, at that age, okay, which we all know. That is the time when they are learning. They're learning to feel their environment. They're learning from people around them. They're learning from their siblings, from their parents, from their environment. And what do kids do at this age? Okay, we all know kids love to copy. They love to mirror. They love to mimic. Okay, this is what they're doing, and this is what they're absorbing from the environment they are in. And this is a very crucial part of role play, because it's not about children. It's not about children, because they are going to copy, us. And we are the ones who need to do more work rather than the children, because they are going to copy how you speak, how you talk, what is your tone of voice, what are your gestures. And that actually, when you look at any kid, if you talk to a 2-year-old or 3-year-old and you ask them to do it, it's not you're asking them to do a role play, that you tell them, okay, what does mama do at home? And they will act like their mothers. You can close your eyes if you know the mother and say, oh my God, this is the mother. Yes. Oh my God, this is the father. And you are like, and sometimes, and I can give you from my personal experience when I speak to my son, and then he was telling me something one day when he was little. Now he's 9, but when he was little, I'm like, oh my God, he's using my language. He's using this is me talking to me, right? And then, as a parent or as an educator or an edu leader, whatever you want to call it, we have to be very aware and very careful about what we are trying to say to children and how are we communicating with them, because they are going to just blankly copy. Okay, I had this many years ago, a small child who would say, you'd ask him, how are you going? Office. And he would take a little briefcase. Of course, nowadays it seems to have changed. This was like 30 years ago. And he would go to office, and both his parents were working. So I said, oh, is your daddy's briefcase? No, it's mama's briefcase. And he would, walk and he would go to office. And that was a 2-year-old. So role play is something which they do all the time. And role play is such a crucial, important aspect of it. Okay, so when we are doing role play with children, it's important for parents, teachers to be aware of themselves and how they communicate to the child. So when my son, we used to put them, they would go to school, and in the evening I would send them for an extra activity for sports and stuff like that. So to answer your second question, should we be a part of the role play? 100% yes. You have to be a part of the role play. You have to be with the child so that he knows that you understand him, you get him. Okay, as teachers, as communicators, as primary caregivers or whatever, we need to watch what the children are watching on TV, so that we can talk to them their language, whether it's a Mickey Mouse or a Peppa Pig or Iron Man or whatever. When we speak their language, they feel, oh, this person is me. And then you have to, all of us as teachers of younger students, we actually go down on our fours and we are, doing things with the children at their level, and they relate to this part of it. So 100% you have to be a part of the role play, because when you're doing the role play with the children, like my son would come and say, okay, he was the teacher then, and I had to be the student. And he told me, okay, what is the first rule we do here? What do we do second? So he actually did the entire 1 hour of activity that he does in his class with me. And though I was bored out of my wits, I had to be a part of it, because it was for him to say, make me do these activities. Okay, now jump, now do this. And then you realize, okay, when I went and met the instructor, I was like, wow, this child has copied him to the T, with his language, with the way he spoke, and in the sequence of what he was doing. So it's very, very important for kids to understand that part of it also, that, if a teacher is behaving in a particular manner, or if a parent is speaking in a different manner. If a child comes to school and you ask a child, what does mama say when you do this? And you will know immediately the kind of environment the child comes from, whether the mother is okay about it, or whether the mother gives one, whack to the child after he's done this. And you know this because kids are so honest. They'll come and tell you, mama says this, oh, daddy is like this, or my grandmother is like this, my grandfather is like this. In the first or maximum second class, every child's story in the house. You know your kid, you know what is happening in his family, what his siblings are, whether some kids don't like their siblings. Some kids get bullied by their siblings. So when we are doing role play, and now to go to a little more serious part of it, when we are doing role play with them, it's very important for us to observe the children. Our immediate instinct is, oh, correct them when they're wrong. But the key to this is when we are allowing them to do role play, we observe them and see what they're doing without saying this is right or wrong, because they are doing what is in their mind, what they are seeing, what's happening around. Right or wrong is not the objective at this point of time, but let them lead the role play. Let them say, I'm going to do this, you have to do this, I will do this. And let them say, because let them direct you. Right? They need to direct you without you. And then once you understand, okay, wow, this is what this child is thinking, or this is what the child feels, or this is the child's perception of something, then you are in a better position to either suggest something different or help the child or evaluate and say, this is, what is happening in the child's environment. And therefore I need to maybe speak to the parents and tell them that this is what the child is thinking about. So role play is so important, especially when you're, younger kids. You give them so many different opportunities to act out from the first thing you would do is when you're working with kids is ask them to do role play of things close to them, their environment, their mother, their father, the siblings, etc. Then the second level, which is the doctor. How does the doctor interact with them? Whether the dentist or a teacher, when they're going out of their comfort zone into somebody else, how does that person react? And then, of course, you have, if you were a Superman, or if you were, a fictional character, or if you were a witch or a wizard, how would you behave? And then that's a different, and so each role play also has various dimensions and various points of view that come along with it, right? So as parents, what would we do is one is observe them, okay, evaluate what is happening over here, definitely be a part of the role play, yeah, and then help and suggest how the children can do things differently. And most importantly, whether it's a teacher or a parent, have fun, have a great time with the kids, and learn from them. So there was this, when I was doing this Helen O'Grady, do I have time, Amrit? Okay. So when I was working with Helen O'Grady, we had one activity with children, which was slightly older. They were around 10-year-olds, okay? And we had given them a situation that you have to act like a mother. Now, we didn't say your mother or something. You've come home with bad marks and your mother opens the door, or your mother is at home. So there was this child who was a boy and he was around 10 years old. So he says, okay, fine. And this was an individual role play. So he sits down on a chair and he's talking on the phone. Those days we had, no mobiles. It was some time ago. And he was on the phone and saying, I just gone to the parlor and I've just come back. My nails are really looking nice. You have to come and look at this. He pretended to be his mother so beautifully. We were like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I said, okay, now he's come. I have to talk to you later. Okay, I don't know what his exam he's going to do in his exam. I don't know. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And he put the phone down and said, okay, show me your result report card. So it was so interesting to see how he acted like his mother. I said, who is this? He said, oh, this is my mother. And then when she saw the report card, I said, oh, okay, you have to study hard. You'll be grounded when I tell your father, I don't know what he's going to do. So it was so beautiful, so interesting that the child knows exactly what's happening. Yeah. So, it was just wonderful to, when you do role plays, like I said, with different children, with different age groups, you will have different perspectives. Their understanding of a particular thing will change completely. And you will do the same role play with a younger one You will do it same with your 5th graders or 4th graders and the 9th graders, and each of them will have a different interpretation of it. Everybody will do it differently according to their environment that they have, they are in, right? Some of them are super creative, so they'll come up with their own ideas, but more often than not, they take examples from their environment and they will behave like their parents or what they have seen in their environment. So sometimes, so another example I would like to share with you is one of the activities we had told them. Sorry.
We'll stop here.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Sonia. I think you wonderfully put across a couple of points for us. I think it's important that we all know that children love to mirror us, imitate the adults, whether it's the parents, the teachers, any other caregiver that's there. And most importantly, what I really like that you put across was whether we are the parents or the teachers, we've got to be good observers and be a part of their interactions. And some lovely examples that you have shared, some of them were really hilarious. So all your parents and teachers out there, please ensure you're being extremely mindful while you're talking to your children, because children learn from imitation and they are excellent observers. So please be mindful with how you are letting your expressions through them, because they're really innocent and they actually do these things even in the classrooms. So thank you, Sonia, wonderfully put up. Gave us a lot of insights on what role playing is. We'll come to Gina. So, we've been very patiently talking about foundational literacy, numeracy skills, and in our country, very recently, a document has been released on foundational literacy and numeracy skills. So we've had a lot of educators who've been very excited to know how creative arts, drama can be used while you're doing creative arts with them. So could you suggest some examples? Could you suggest how can literacy, numeracy skills can be supported through drama and imaginative play in our curriculum for teachers in their classes as well as for parents? So over to you, Gina.
Just check, am I off mute? I'm not. Good, you can hear me, good. Right, I've been in early years for 30 years. It makes me feel so old, but just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from, 30 years ago, I was asked to deliver a formal ballet class in an early year setting. And obviously that is not the thing to do for young children, really young children, because of their abilities at that time. But I saw this as an amazing opportunity for children to learn, specifically child-led learning in a multisensory way. So it helps them with their mathematics, their speech and language skills, their executive function. And I was reading the American Journal of Play, and there's a fabulous article by Laura Burke and Adina Myers in 2009. I don't know if you've all read that, but they basically confirmed that make-believe strengthens a wide variety of our mental abilities, sustained attention, logical reasoning, language and literacy, skills, imagination, and controlling your emotions. So all of those things are so important through play and imagination in the early years. So they've actually done a absolutely yes. It's really important to help children. It's not about sitting down saying, you've got to learn your times table, you've got to do this, because do you remember I remember sitting there in lectures, being bored, going like that. And I want to learn it to be fun. And exactly the same for the children. So this is where imaginative play and dramatic play, which I think is the same, is so important for the children. So imaginative role play helps your children understand the power of language and communication through playing with each other. They're learning words. You're going to be feeding words into the children. They're going to reenact things, the role play, copying their mother, painting the nails. I love that. Sorry, that was fabulous. But for me, to help the children, first of all, no inhibitions, engage with the child and they will be ready to learn. So do it beside the child. Don't go in front of them. Don't confront them. do everything with them, because you don't know if that child is on the spectrum at that moment in time. Because I deal with early years, specifically in early years settings, and all the way up to 7 and actually 18 in a setting for children with profound physical and learning disabilities. So imaginative play allows you to help children through scaffolding their learning with positional language, following directions, counting, building the vocab, developing oral language and comprehension through recall and sequencing of the play. So for an example, when I'm delivering sessions, or when I've trained people to deliver sessions, when they go on their adventure, if they're looking for an alien, they could be going, oh, where is the alien sleeping? Oh, is he underneath this? Or is he inside that? Or is he behind that? So actually all the way through, you're giving them that language, you're giving those skills. So it could be beside this, it could be behind you. That's just as an example for positional language for the children. You're also getting them to follow directions as well. And they can be giving you directions. So, oh, is he over there? So how are we going to get there? We're going to walk there, we're going to jump there, we're going to run there. So this is where you get the movement and the drama and the play, and you can link it with stories. And also for the mathematics, when we go to space, we have to problem solve. The space rocket stops and it doesn't quite make it to the moon because it's run out of fuel or run out of whatever you've decided is the problem at the time. So they have to problem solve how to get from the rocket to the moon. And then we need to count how many there are of us. We can create a register, tick it off. So this is where you've got the skills are coming in, and they're mark making, getting them ready for writing. There's so many different things that you can have in there. So the other thing for I use the times table for the children. If we're going to be a horse, we show them the image of the horse. How many legs has a horse got? 4. How many legs have we got? 2. So what happens if we have 2 more legs? They can work out how many extra legs they need, how many ears we've got, how many extra ears we've got, all those different things that you can add in there for the counting and for the language and the literacy. You're also building in vocab. So you're assessing all the time what language the child has. So for example, using space, if you have older children, you can add in satellites, you can add in different types of rockets, you can add in the solar system, so you can feed in the language, also the emotions, how they feel being so far away from home, because we have an alien that lives on the moon and he's on his own, he's got no mummy or daddy, and we have to go up and see him regularly to play with him, take the football, so we're doing moon ball, and all those different opportunities to talk about how they're feeling. You're also going to have the opportunities in the imaginative play of developing their language and comprehension through the recall. So, oh, what did we do today? Where did we go? What happened next? What would happen if? So all those different things in that, and that's just through your imaginative play, you're teaching the children so much. We also create story chains for the children, because obviously for the sequencing and also for the kinesthetic learners to visually see, so they're helping with their sentence building through that imaginative play. So we've linked it with a story, with the music, with the movement, with the sounds, with the sensory, and all the way through you're linking in mathematics and language and comprehension. And we use dialogic reading all the time. So we use the crowd prompt, so the completion prompts, Daddy's boots. So for example, if we went to see the 3 bears, Daddy Bear's boots were they too big? Were they too small? Were they too heavy? Were they too dark? Were they too dirty? Then we have the recall prompt. What happened when, or what happened to the, or why were his boots dirty? What happened to make his boots dirty? Then we have the open-ended prompts. What happened? Who can you see? And then the as I like my what prompts, what, where, when, why, how, and who. And then also the distancing prompt. So what happened, do you go for picnics? So when we go and visit the 3 bears, we went and had a picnic with the bears. So do you go out on picnics? What do you eat? Do you know, sort of, how did you feel when you went on a picnic? And what would happen if it was raining? We need to get our umbrella. So you've all this imaginative play building in all those storylines. And as there's so much evidence that dialogic reading correlates with future literacy skills. And if you read the article by Watkins 2018, it says here, dialogic reading is a process of having a dialogue with students around the text they are reading. But you don't leave it there. I transfer those skills into imaginative play and into stories and physical movements, because that world is an adventure. You need to go into that adventurous world with the children, and it gives you the opportunity to learn at a deeper level, defining new words, analysing what happened, components of the story, and also with the mathematics, the music, the complex rhythms in there. You can do the clapping of the syllables, so they're counting their syllables. So there's so much that you can do and scaffold their learning. If you are creative, lose your inhibitions and understand how important play is for children in the early years. This process helps your child make the connection between the spoken and the written language, and that's a skill that they're going to need in later life. They will be ready to write when they are ready, but they will never be able to write if they haven't had the creativity to build their physical core, which is what you're doing through play and the movement. This is why we are movement based, because you can't do anything without that core and that myelin building to get the speech and language. And myelin is what makes us human. And use your imagination to develop it for the children. Phew, done it, 10 minutes. It's like, I was like,
well done, Gina. I think you've given us some valuable takeaways. I really like the examples that you've shared with all the educators. So, you know, especially when we spoke about open-ended prompts, because I think it's a must that educators use such open-ended prompts. Why educators? Parents could also use the open-ended prompts. Your what if prompts, they're so valuable, and you get really good insights whether the child has understood the concept, whether the child is able to reason out the concept. I like the way that, you know, you've been dramatizing the story. Imagine that you had an umbrella. Imagine if the daddy's boots were dark or torn or dirty. So that was like really good. I think it's not only the dramatization that we're working on, but look at the kind of vocabulary that we're working with children.
yeah,
And that is the kind of exposure that we want for our children through the medium of drama and imaginative play. So well done. I think some valuable inputs. Would anybody like to give a couple of inputs over here, or we can move on to the third question?
Gina has spoken about it all with beautiful examples. Amrit, I would like to just talk about a little bit about the online media, because when we used to work in the offline and the way we have, this is a total paradigm shift if we look at it.
True. Go ahead, Priyanka.
An example would be very little time, so just few examples. Like when we are doing the checking in, but how with early years, when the children are sitting after, you know, they are also having their Montessori or the preschool classes also online, then they're tired, they're having their nap time, how to engage them with the icebreaker or with the, you know, an activity that can really get them into the session. So during checking in, maybe what is a place that you went today, which is not Big Bazaar, or which is not your neighbor's house, or hardly they're moving outside, right? So might be they are engaging their body and they're just using sound in the preliminary stage, but later, so miming. And then in the second stage, you are talking about the literacy, literacy skills. So we are talking about adding words. If the other people are not able to guess, they're adding certain words. And then if still the children are not able to guess, gradually from word to phrase, phrase to sentence, something like that. And then also adding numeracy skills. For example, how many items did you buy there? But just because they're enacting, it doesn't become a mathematics class. And it's engaging and it's entertaining. And because we are talking about early childhood, the NEP 2020 also speaks about the need of native mother tongue, native language. So one of the things that we do, once again in online, we spotlight the children to say they have paired up and they are creating a foreign poem. So you will see, or not all children, because they are first generation speakers, perhaps in English, we engage gibberish during this all the activities in initial phase. So say they're creating a foreign poem. So one person is, moving their body, and another is creating the poem or creating the story and giving the voice to this particular body that's only enacting. In the second step, the poem goes to a gibberish. In the third step, it goes to a native language. And in the fourth step, finally, like the entire knowledge sector is based from going from known to unknown. So from native language, gradually in the fourth step, perhaps we move to the access English, which is because we are not native speakers of English. So if we go step by step, especially when dealing with early years, I think it can be magical when we are using drama as a modality to teach literacy and numeracy skills. Thank you so much.
Wonderfully put across, Priyanka, and I think some very valuable inputs that you've shared with our audience over there. So we'll move on further and we'll come to you only. So my last question is to you. So if you could tell us that, what happens is most educators keep wondering whether dramatic and imaginative play really support the development of the whole child. Is it only about supporting the creative expression? Though Gina and you both have given us examples on how it can be supporting our literacy numeracy skills, but is there something beyond that? Can drama and imaginative play support the whole child? So over to you, Priyanka.
Okay, let me switch on my stopwatch because it is such a vast subject. You have given me 10 minutes and I want to speak on and on and on. So let me share a little picture before I move on. Can anybody of you, also Gina, Sonia, Amrit, can you guess what is this situation over here?
MRI.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, came to the MRI scanner. But it could be a train.
Yeah.
It could be a rocket ship.
It could be so many things, especially for us who are into drama. It can be a lot of things, but let me tell you that this is not a dramatic setting. This is not a preschool setting. This is not inside an education platform. Rather, like Gina mentioned, this is actually a MRI machine. Yeah. So MRI machine, this was redesigned as a pirate ship, like Gina kept, guessing. This was designed as a pirate ship by Doc Diaz, who is an engineer who builds MRI machines, but he was very proud of this amazing technology that he has invented, but also deeply saddened to learn that most of the children who had to undergo MRI for whatever reason, they were terrified to use his product, which was big, which was noisy, and which was scary. Personally, for me, when I had to undergo MRI twice in my life, and I was like imagining all different, like astronaut, when I'm in Mars, and maybe I'm, in a big opera where the sound is going wrong, and all different kind of imagination took me 20-25 minutes down the line. Rest 15-20 minutes was like, when can this finish? So imagine the kids. Yeah. They had no experience. They're suddenly being put inside the tunnel. 80% of kids had to be forcefully sedated. Diaz, as a solution, created City Pirate Island Adventure, wherein the MRI scanner was made to look like a pirate ship, as you have already seen, and not only the scanner, but the entire room, because we are speaking about the environment. Amrit spoke about my background, which was, full of greenery. So we not only speak about this, we also speak about this. So the entire room was decorated with their favorite series characters. Consequently, the entire MRI experience became a playtime for kids, and they wanted to go inside the scanner. Kids loved their new experience, and quite a few of them actually wanted to keep coming back, as I said, and parents were equally relieved because some of the children had to regularly undergo the experience. And as a matter of data, because our experience becomes validated and moves into the scientific zone only when it's supported by data. Sedation rate went down from 80% to 10%.
Wow.
So both hospitals and parents, they were benefited commercially, they were benefited health-wise, and they were benefited also mental health-wise, because children wanted to come back to this zone as it was a matter of thing. So what happened there? We engaged into imaginary play over here, even though this is a hospital setting, even though this is a health setting. So it's not only that we can engage into dramatic play when we are in the classroom setting, or when we are in our room playing with our parents. Rather, it can be anywhere and everywhere. And that is the beauty of drama. When I am traveling around the world with my storytelling tools, sometimes I have to take things which are, which bear the cultural experience I come from. Say, I have to tell a story on Pabuji Ki Fur, or which is a 5-foot scroll that comes from Rajasthan, or I'm telling a story with Patachitra, which is a vertical scroll. This one was a horizontal scroll, this is a vertical scroll. So I'm telling a story with puppets. I am carrying a lot of tools along with me. I am traveling internationally. The weight limit of the entire suitcase is 25 kilos or 23 kilo into 2 in maximum case, right? But imagine drama. Drama can be anywhere. Drama can be in the toilet of the airlines. Drama can be with the crew in the airlines. Drama can be in the queue while you are waiting to be checked in. Drama can be anywhere. You don't need any tools specifically, because our body and our voice becomes the best instruments, becomes the best modality. And hence, when we speak about imaginative play with children, we can engage with them anywhere. So let's look at another example that I would like to show you. This was done during the pandemic with my children. I asked them question that nowadays parents are getting engaged in work and as well as household chores. So how they're going to manage, because what we are seeing, the lifetime of the electronic gadgets like laptop or mobile, that's coming down, as well as when we are just sitting at our workplace or at our working desk in our bedrooms, might be the curry is getting burnt. So how do we solve that? So we have to look at the lifetime of the electronic gadgets, hence there needs to be heat insulation and stuffs like that. So different children came up with different solutions, because I'm also a design thinker. So I try to combine my dramatic experience along with the design thinking approach that I take, coming from that, engineering and MBA degrees, whatever we say, like Rabindranath Tagore said, "Jiboner dhon kichui jana pela." So whatever we collect all throughout lives, they becomes wisdom or pearls of wisdom, and nothing is actually wasted if we have the mentality to look at them in that particular way. So I decided my engineering background should marry my dramatic background. So that is the result is over here. If you can see the flask in between the laptop and the chimney. So that this is a child who is 6-year-old and who has designed this. The handwriting is that by her mother, but the imaginative play has been done by her, and that too online. It's not an offline engagement. So when we speak about imaginary play or dramatic play, the scope is huge. It's not only role plays that we are using, doing with our bodies, but also how about things that we see around. For example, when I speak about nowadays, I'm not able to find my comb because I went bald 1 year back. But when I use this comb, because now it has become more of something that, a prop, because I don't need it in my daily life. So I asked children, what do you see over here? This is a comb. But this can be used in two ways. One, when the com is actually used as something else in real life, can be used in another way. So it might be, when I am scratching my back with the comb, or it might be, something has went down under the bed and I'm trying to pull that out. So what kind of 21st century skill we are engaging with? It's critical thinking. It's not creative thinking. Of course, it's beyond point. We are engaging into imagination, but primarily it's critical thinking. But when you simultaneously ask a third question, what is this? A comb. How, other than a comb, how can you use it? Those 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways. Third question. If this is not, then what can it be? Enact. This can be a pen where it is like a quill and I'm writing a letter to Queen Elizabeth. This can be a oar, row, your boat. I can see a comet that's coming from the sky. A walking stick. Chaka! A cricket bat. A ninja sword. So when I am in, and 100, 200, 300, I don't know how many different types of imagination. I'm sure the panelists over here also won't be able to give me a proper number, because imagination only, sky is the limit. Yeah. So when we speak about drama or imaginative play, the engagement of 21st century skills over here, the first one was critical thinking, but second one is creative thinking. And also, like Gina mentioned, it can actually, if we are as educators, are thinking about LSRW skills. Listening is happening, then speaking is happening, and gradually, as a reinforcement, if we can manage our activities properly, we can guide the child into reading and writing. And initially, it was spoken about the visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Now, after Howard Gardner, we have come up with a model which is called multiple intelligence, where we are engaging in interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, and all of that. And believe me, my friends, we can engage in all of that because we don't know how many years the pandemic is going to sustain. We don't know how many years we cannot have children in the preschools or in early childhood, because schools might be open for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But what about the young ones? So until we are getting in, having the children back in our classrooms, how we can engage with them, imaginative play, dramatic play, online, I think sky is once again the limit. But the answer is we have to keep our ears, we have to keep our minds, and we have to keep our hearts. Thank you so much.
Wow, I think that was so wonderfully put across, Priyanka. And I'm so glad that you took up this question, because I love the kind of explanation that you've given all of us. Yes, I really like the way that you have shown us examples, and then connected the dots to various skills, that the 21st century skills, what we actually learn. And believe me, once teachers start practicing these activities in their class, we won't have parents complaining about there is no interaction in the class, there is no interaction in an online platform, because this is not only engaging, but so expressive and interactive for the children. So thank you, panelists. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. We don't have much time right now, but we have a couple of audience. So is anybody in the audience who would like to ask our panelists any questions? So now is the time to ask. All right, I don't think we have anybody asking questions, but very quickly then, I would like each panelist to at least share one takeaway that is very dear to their heart, and they would want the parents and the teachers to be doing this at home. So one takeaway, keep it very short and crisp. So we'll start with Sonia first. Sonia.
Thank you so much. I was hoping you'll ask me that. One takeaway that I would like for our teachers and the parents is to be involved with the children. It is especially parents, that they are our kids and we can't palm them off to somebody else and saying, you do the reading for them and you do the, I've given it to the school has to do it. No, a child needs the parents' interaction. The parents need to be involved with the children. They should know what the child likes to read to the child. And I think what I would like to give to the parents is read books to your children. Sit down with a physical book, open the book, read it with your child from the time he is 2 months, 3 months, 4 months old, doesn't matter. The sooner you start reading to the child, the sooner you will be able to see how that child picks up books and they become his best friends. And then you cannot say that my child doesn't read, because if you have inculcated the habit of reading to the children, it's going to see them through for the rest of their lives. And that is something which today people and kids and parents don't do. So I would just like to tell parents, get involved with your kids and read stories to them.
Thank you, Sonia. That's very, very, very valuable and crucial. Over to you, Gina. One takeaway for our parents and teachers.
My takeaway is to find your inner child. Remember what it was like when you were 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. It's just finding that as you grow up, you're pushing that inner child down and away. The most important thing for me is the takeaway is find the inner child, and then the magic will begin. And then you'll be doing the things, reading the stories, interacting and engaging with your child, because you found your inner child, and then you're going to build that relationship. So find your inner child, please.
Again, so essential for most of us to do that. So thank you, Gina. Over to you, Priyanka. One takeaway for our audience.
I would like to speak about social emotional learning and just extend what Gina right now mentioned, because our children are struggling since last 1.5 years, like we are doing. And they're going through a lot, even though we think, my child is happy-go-lucky. No, everything is okay. My child is playing along with, things that is there in her playroom or his playroom. My child is reading, still trying to read books, but still there's a lot going on which is not visible. I always mention to parents and educators about the iceberg model. So like Titanic, I am sure all of you have seen, and the ship has actually struck the iceberg because the 11th or 9/10 or 11/12 portion of the iceberg was hidden under the water, whereas only 1/10 or 1/12 was visible outside. And same is with all of us. So if we are seeing our children becoming cranky, if we are seeing our children where bookworm used to turn pages like a lot, but nowadays they are not doing that, let's look at whatever is happening under the iceberg, and let's spread a little bit of magic dust through dramatic play, through imaginative play. I'll just end with one small example, what can still be done online. So how I end my classroom is, I ask them, you want Kolpo Didi to show you one last magic? And they will be like, yes. And I will say, see, I'm not only a storyteller, I'm also a magician. When I count 3, I'll vanish. So all of you, so numeric skills will happen. So 1, all of them are counting, 2 and 3, and I end the meeting. So the scope of drama, the scope of magic dust is everywhere around us. Our children are struggling. We just need to identify that and let's reactivate our inner child. Agar udhar hum hote to hame kaisa lagta? Whatever, let's be in their shoes and try to spread the magic dust. The world is going to be a better place, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, panelists. We've loved the discussion that we've had today. We have really explored on creative arts, creative drama, and we've also understood that it's not one art. It is an integration of all. And as educators and caregivers, we need to understand and respect and integrate and incorporate them into our classrooms, as well as our homes, in our online classrooms too. Thank you to all our panelists for a wonderful, wonderful session. It was so engaging, so interactive, and I think you've just churned the juices of our minds, and we're going to keep coming up with more and more ideas on how to end our classes. Really love that, Priyanka. I think that takeaway, most teachers need to grab it right away from Priyanka Chatterjee right now. Lastly, I would just like to say that what I have understood today, and I'm sure I'm talking on behalf of most of you, is that creative arts is an absolute necessary in our homes, in our schools, in our classrooms right now. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity, because it's only through creative arts, imagination is where children learn how to learn. And that is one of the most important and the most crucial thing for this generation to ensure that all the 21st century skills have been incorporated very well. I would like to thank all of you once again for becoming a part of this session. If you have missed the session, you can please access it on our Facebook page. The link will be there. Lastly, ECDF is coming up with many more events, so please stay tuned. Our next event is going to be Story Ka Pitara. That's going to happen on 18th September 2021. That's going to be next Saturday, so please stay tuned. If you have children at home, we'll have one of our esteemed storytellers narrating a beautiful story for your children. So stay tuned on ECDF page for more and more activities. Thank you so much, panelists. We wish you a great evening ahead. Thank you, everybody, for your presence.